G'day everyone and welcome back to probably one of the last times inside of Planet Coaster, sadly. What you're looking at is pretty much everything I've built inside of Planet Coaster over my time owning the game. Some things here are on YouTube, some things are only on the workshop, some things are missing. There is a big chunk of stuff that I haven't been able to put in here. Hopefully I'll be able to jump to them maybe at the end of the video, but yeah, we're pretty much just going to be going through stuff that I first created, and you're going to see it all the way up until just before the movie world build, because yeah, that's pretty much been covered. A lot of you probably subscribed during that period, but yeah, this is what it was before. You're going to see pretty much my journey from when I first brought the game and jumped in and started creating stuff all the way up until, yeah, my more intricate and silly designs, really pushing the game to pretty much parts where my PC sounded like it was going to catch on fire. I don't know if you have had them moments inside a Planet Coaster, but yeah, it's very scary when them fans start turning on and it's like, oh no. And yeah, but pretty much let's just jump straight into my first build ever, and it was pretty much what I built when I first downloaded the game. I followed a YouTube tutorial on how to build something inside the game, and it was a church. It was a great video. I wish I could remember, because I think it's gone now, but yeah, they literally just told you how to build the frame and how to work all the mechanics and the different buttons and everything else, trying to move stuff around. And this game is a very steep learning curve, but once you get it, it's fairly simple. But yeah, it's always funny to me when some people subscribe now and they see Movie World and they say, oh my god, this is amazing, like you're so great at building, or like whatever else. But I always come back and look at stuff like this and I go, this is where I started. Like I was as bad as anything with creating. You can see how like molded together everything is. There's a random light sitting on the roof to try and blend it in, and it's just funny to come back and look at stuff like this and go, oh, it's very humbling. Not saying I'm like a perfect builder, because trust me, I've seen some of these workshop items where I'm like, is this even Planet Coaster anymore? And yeah, it's gonna be crazy to see what people do with Planet Coaster 2, but yeah, this was the very early bones of like, oh wow, like I made this. So it's pretty cool to see stuff like that. But this was the start of my YouTube journey, was when I first uploaded this. I had never owned Planet Coaster. It had been out for maybe a year already before I brought the game. I never had a PC. I was always a PlayStation fanboy. I never had any sort of PC to play any of these games on. I'd always just watch on YouTube, and I always followed people's builds, and it was so fun to see what people were creating. And I always thought like, oh yeah, one day I'll build it, but like I've had no money, couldn't do nothing, so I was like, well, you'll have to wait. And then I remember very strongly, it was when they brought out their fireworks update. I'm not sure if it was just a fireworks update, they might have had other stuff, but I just remember seeing all I remember from memory is a trailer with the fireworks and them saying whatever date it was coming, and I remember I was like, that's it, I've got to get a PC, I've got to play this game. I don't know if you've seen my Roller Coaster Tycoon builds, but I've always been into building weird things inside of Roller Coaster Tycoon games. Like I remember I loved to build WWE stages and music festival stages in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. So when I seen this, I straight away was like, oh my god, I could do a whole show. So that was pretty much what I downloaded straight away. Played around with the church, learnt the buttons, did everything else, and this was my first like real like workshop build that I was so proud of when I uploaded, because there's a hesitation before you upload. Like I don't know whether, like, what are people going to say, whether they're going to like it. People download a Roller Coaster Tycoon game and they're making music festival stages. There was only a couple of different stages at the time where people had made stuff like this, so it was very untested ground. So when I first downloaded it, when I first finished it, sorry, it was very, very simple. Every light is an individual light. Every light has different colors. There's no color change in. There's nothing like that. None of that is in this at all. Every massive floodlight is a different color that is all put in the same spot, so that it's literally just a trigger system that goes light on, light off. Light on for 30 seconds, then whatever it seemed to be was as simple as it was. And timing that to music, timing that to the fireworks show took me so long. And I remember when I uploaded it, people were just like amazed of like, wait, what? This was made inside of Planet Coaster? And to see like that reaction and as much feedback as I got just fed into me just like, okay, I want to do this. I want to continue building crazy stuff that people aren't expecting in the game, and I hope to continue that with Planet Coaster 2. But yeah, this was a really fun one to create. It is the DEF CON stage from I think they started this in Australia. They had this. I don't know if there's many hardstyle fans out there, but yeah, the Dragon stage is one of my favorite stages, and it was so fun to be able to recreate this and make it look realistic and have like the scaffolding and everything in it to where you could, if you really wanted to, be a DJ and stand there and listen to music. But I wanted it to be that you could download this, put on the music, and just sit back and enjoy it. So that was a really, really fun time to pretty much just like test out the game. And you'll see like when we move on and I show you like my biggest stages to where we got to with moving lights and the color changing and how intricate it gets. My favorite thing to do with a lot of these music festivals is if you download someone else's stuff, yes, appreciate all this. Yes, I love looking at all like the different how they did stuff, but it's that sequencer. When I click on that sequencer and I see how people struggled, how they tried to fit a whole show inside of a sequencer that, yes, it was designed for everything that you do inside the park, but I don't think it was meant to be pushed to the limits that a lot of us tried to push it to. So hopefully Planet Coaster 2, we can try to push the boundaries again on what you can do inside the park. So it's very cool to see a roller coaster tycoon game and you're making stuff that's like a music festival. Like it's just so cool that you can do that inside this game, which is why I've always had the standard of it's one of my favorite things that a game allows you to do stuff like this. But as I did tell you at the start, it's literally just going to be me rambling for a while. So probably one of my favorite builds that everyone knows before. This was when I was a bit overwhelmed by the feedback, was my Superman escape ride. One of the things that I'm most proud of in a lot of my builds is I really tried to make sure that you could just download this off the workshop and put it in your park. Yes, there are exceptions to that rule. Yes, there are things that are just stupidly crazy with the pieces, but the 4,000 piece limit was so fun to try and fit things under. And as I said, like, I'm so proud that, well, I suppose you didn't see the stress, but yeah, I'm so proud of it. It actually gets under 4,000 pieces. Like every one of these is 4,000 on the dot, just so that you can download it and just have it in your park. So it's really cool to be able to see stuff like that. And it's cool to see also like the different, like just how, not like terrible of a builder you are, but just different things that you're like, oh wow, I really made that hard for myself. I could have made it a lot easier. So it's all a learning experience at the end of the day, and it's really cool to sit back and go, oh okay, like next time I build this, which you'll see in version 2 later, is a lot of the stuff I learned over the time of fixing stuff. So when this first came out, it was downloaded at least a couple of hundred times within the first like 7 days of me having this up there. In the YouTube video I hit, it's maybe one of my most popular videos, and it was just like, oh okay, this is what, like, I understand. It's like, to some people it's interesting to talk to, where it's like, well, how do you judge success like in this sort of thing? Like, I understand there's people that get hundreds of thousands of views, but I don't understand how they deal with that type of numbers. Like I was going crazy for 20 viewers, 40 viewers. It was like, whoa, oh my goodness, like running out and like telling my brother, who also plays this game, that like, I can't believe it, like 40 people are watching it, they think it's amazing. And trying to recreate this was so fun. It's one of me and my brother's favorite rides. When we went out, like the amount of times we've done that loop and jumped on and reread this over and over and over again was so fun to be able to sit down and really like feel this out and try to fit everything in here that to try and make you feel like you're in the real ride. And as you can see, the coaster track is the old version. We didn't have a lot of coaster designs when the game first came. Well, when I jumped on, I can't say when the game first came out, but yeah, this was really cool to be able to recreate and try to fit inside and do it my own way. I think that if you're worried about your own builds and stuff like that in Planet Coaster or Planet Coaster 2, don't be afraid to put your own spin on things, because you've got to make it fun for yourself. A lot of things that I built, if I was building it to the T, trying to make it a one-to-one recreation, I feel like you're not having fun anymore. And this game is designed to just, you can sit down and have fun. And this was so fun to sit there and build. And you'll see in a lot of my builds, I like to just sit and just have fun while building stuff. Just putting on my music, just playing a couple of hours of the game, and just creating cool stuff that like you guys can check out at any time, which is cool. Yeah, what more can I say about it? I don't know. I don't really know. Like you'll see in this video, I don't really know what to talk about. Like I've literally just put everything in a park, and I'm just gonna go around and just talk about things. I could talk hours about this. I could talk hours about that. But I'm trying to like sorry for the like no structure in this video. This is the Buzzsaw from Dreamworld. Not really like a crazy recreation. I never rode this in the real park. I suppose I can say it because it's gone now, but it was never working. Me and my brother, we don't live in Queensland, so we would always, when we'd go up, it'd be shut or under maintenance, or I'm very excited to see Dreamworld. The comeback is real. I know a lot of people are doubting Dreamworld, but I really feel like the comeback is real for that park. And I think that I understand they are separate entities, but Movie World and Dreamworld, even SeaWorld, they really are creating magic up there, and it's really becoming the epicenter of pretty much theme parks in Australia. I know there's a couple that are standing out, and there might be some people in the comments that beg to differ, but yeah, Movie World's always held a really close space, at least in my heart, which was why I was able to sit there and put so much effort into the whole Movie World build. So anyways, I'll probably just blabber on and then cut myself off, but this was my first attempt at something that was outside of Planet Coaster. So this was, I think it's Castle Beauclair from The Witcher 3. Pretty much I was playing The Witcher, and it's as you know, playing Planet Coaster, you search for little bits of inspiration, and like I'd never been a Witcher fan. I'd never played that game in my life. I think I played it once when a family member brought it for me for Christmas. I played it for 2 seconds and I was like, okay, I'm done. It's pretty funny to think back on their moments, to think of how many hours I put in The Witcher now, and Cyberpunk, and even this game. Just how, like, yeah, it's just such a great game. Which was why it was so easy for me to sit down and be able to build something like this, which was, I'd seen people do Disney castles, I'd seen people do, yeah, I suppose Disney castles are really the only castle that you've tried to build, so building something like this was really fun to go, like, in the actual game, walk around, take pictures, come down, try to implement different things of like a waterfall out the back, or like even the main bell tower, just to try and really capture that essence of, oh, okay, this is your first attempt of like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna really try here and get this looking cool. And as you can see, sitting there at night, that's probably one of my most proud moments of having this inside of a park. Of like, just the lighting in this game is so fun to play around with. I'm excited to see what Planet Coaster 2 is like. Just letting you know that I've watched maybe the first trailer to Planet Coaster 2, and then I've deliberately avoided anything from the game. I want to like download the game as soon as it becomes available, and then I'm just going to literally hit record, and then probably just do a video like this where I'm just walking around playing with stuff. So if that's something you'd love to see, hit subscribe, because I think it's on Thursday for us in Australia. I'm not sure if you know the official time that it releases. Just let me know in the comments, because I think it's the 5th, but it's the 6th for I'm not sure, but yeah. But yeah, that was a pretty fun build, trying to build that. And this was my first attempt at something on my own. Like I'd always copied things from that point, from the church to the buzzsaw to Defcon to Superman to even this was I know it hadn't been done, but it was still something that existed. So for me to have something that I could, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write out a whole story, I'm going to try and design a track and do whatever else. This was my first attempt, and yes, it isn't perfect, but the Trials of Anubis was probably one of my favorite things to just really call it mine and be like, wow, like I designed that. Like having where your soul is weighed on a feather, where it's one side's on fire and the other side's collapsed, and it's literally you're going into this temple. It was so fun to try and recreate. As you can see when you go in, there's a lot of paving missing in this stuff. I have just plunked it down, but designing things like a main throne room where you meet Anubis himself or herself, depending on what you think, is really cool to be able to play around with, and having the ride interact. Like, if I could quickly start it. Oops. Let's see if I can get this going. Of course, you can watch this properly on YouTube, but oh, that might be a bit loud. But being able to recreate things was really cool to be able to see and be like, okay, well, okay, that's really loud. Yeah, as you can see, I enjoy playing with the sequencer. Whoa, a little bit too much with all the lightning and craziness effects, but it was really fun to be able to just create something that you can claim that, okay, well, that came from nothing. Like, this was just an idea in my head, and after hours and hours of playing around and doing silly, dangerous loops where, actually, I'll just get it going here. This is one of my favorite drops. Was if it worked. No, it's not gonna work. Yeah, so that one I had to play around with when I got it going. But if you ever ride it, you go down this first drop and just miss this with your head, and as you go down, I had a weird section where I thought, you know, what'd be really cool is if you swung under here, if you could tell the ride vehicle guess it completely upside down here, and how scary that would be, seeing the ground coming towards you and your body pushing up into the shoulder straps, and like, oh, I'm gonna hit the ground, and then the coaster swings back around. I thought was just so funny. And like, if you ever watch the YouTube video, it's funny to watch the on-ride ones of like, I wonder if they could ever create something like that in real life, and it'd be cool. Well, not cool, but like for it to work. But yeah, moving on from that, if you, as I said, like, I'm gonna leave, hopefully, things. I think it depends on YouTube's being weird with what you can and can't do on YouTube now with links and stuff. So if I can have timestamps or even links to other videos, all of these are available on my channel. All of these are available in the workshop to download, so for you to check out yourself. Next up was my second attempt at a brand new ride. I remember Wonder Woman came out, and I was absolutely in love with that movie. I enjoyed it, and I was like, wow, you know what'd be really cool is, I think this was rumored when Movie World first talked about that they were getting a new coaster before it was announced it was DC Rivals, and I thought, you know what they need? They've got Superman, they've got Batman, they need a Wonder Woman coaster. So I was like, oh, I better build this. So my whole build on this was literally around the movie. It was literally designed to fit inside of that whole area where DC Rivals sits now. And it was just a Wonder Woman ride. So obviously the DC Rivals now is an insane roller coaster. If you haven't gone there and ridden that ride, go do it, because it's crazy. But yeah, this was my attempt at doing a massive statue that they would have of Wonder Woman. Obviously it being the lasso of truth, which would be part of the story of when you actually ride the coaster, the lights flimp around like she's trying to grab you. And but yeah, it's was really cool to try and recreate Themyscira, and just different things from the movie. Like, you'll see different, like, it's cool to see like trying to do false perspective and just all these little things that go into your learning experience within this game of just like different things. Like, yeah, it's crazy to see. But here you can see her lasso, her sword, her shield, and then when you come in here through, you have the main throne room for the movies. So obviously her sword was heavily used in stuff like that, and cool shots of where people would fly through on the... We might be able to get this going. Hang on, just let me have a look. Pretty sure it flies, yeah, so it flies up around the back. You're meant to see little glimpses of it as it goes around, and then as it comes back down, I'll pause that so we can have a look when we go back out there. But yeah, just seeing like little different glimpses. So you're slowly seeing the progression of me starting to like really like, okay, well, this is what it would be like for a guest. Like, you're not just focusing on the roller coaster, you're focusing on the story as well, like the actual theming of the park. And I think it was, is it Disneyland's Imagineering on Disney Plus? That really showed the behind the scenes on rides and stuff like that, which was really cool to see and like delve into. Like, wow, like you can turn this into a career, like if you really want to. It was really crazy to me to be like, wow, people sit there and design this sort of stuff. Look at that. Could you imagine a movie world having a roller coaster like this? I don't think I'd, yeah, I probably wouldn't go on it. But as we show, there are things that you notice going back and looking at stuff of a random kink in the... Okay, settle down, loud roller coaster. Just random kinks in the track of like, oh, okay, so I've designed all this, and then I've gone, oh, I need to move this over, and just the inexperience of moving her over and trying it. This was my first experience with YouTube copyrights, of doing a whole video and filming it all and then uploading it, and the audio not working because someone flagged your content for things. So it's pretty cool to see the inexperience of different things going like, oh, okay, now I understand that you can't just make a video and design everything around that video to be like, oh, okay, like it's all around this theme song of Wonder Woman, and then release it and it's like, we've muted your video, and it's like, oh, okay, you know. But that's YouTube for you. My next big roller coaster that I tried to recreate was the Bush Beast. For anyone that has ridden, or not ridden, I suppose you can't anymore, but if you remember Wonderland Sydney, this was the massive roller coaster that was I think I would have only been like 7 or 8 at the time when I used to ride this. This used to scare the crap out of me, this ride. Don't know why. It's very, like, I don't know. I think you just remember things differently as a kid. Like, I remember when I started researching this ride and looking at like the onboard ride videos of when they used to just sit on this, as they, like, there's footage of it on YouTube, that they would just sit here and oil the track. They'd go around it pretty much every morning and make sure that it could run. I have a lot of memories with my dad and stuff like that on this coaster, trying to, like, I still have the picture of me and him getting the photo of me grabbing onto him, absolutely petrified, and him laughing at me. Yeah, it's crazy. I just remember this ride so fondly, of coming down that M4, seeing the massive Wonderland sign that I couldn't recreate. But yeah, it's cool to see stuff like this, that it's gone. Like, this is pretty much the only thing you're gonna have to remember it by now, is a massive, what's this, shipping fireworks platform. What's that from? Sorry, I'm just seeing random things that I place. But yeah, stuff like this, that it no longer exists. Funnily enough, I used to work around where this was. Like, I worked in a factory around there, and it's cool to know that, oh, well, I work off of where I used to ride this stuff. Now it's all just landfill. Luckily, I've moved on to a better job now, but yeah, hopefully it still allows me time to make Planet Coaster videos and do silly stuff on YouTube. But moving on, this was the next big adjustment when they released the, I think it's the Zenith coaster, in some bundle. I'm not very good at remembering a lot of the bundles and stuff like that, but this was my first time of going, oh, you'll see early attempts of Movie World, the park, like finishing it off, because I think I'd seen a couple of YouTubers had tried it before, and as you'll remember from my early my early Movie World videos, I'd seen that they'd created the park and weren't doing like a build, and they were going to build out the whole park. And trust me, I understand why a lot of them gave up on it, because it was so daunting to have that whole park filled out. And my hat goes off to them for starting it, because it's because of them that I finished it. I watched them every week creating their movie world, which made me jump in here and build stuff like this and go like, wow, like if they can build it like that, I could build it as well. And yeah, you'll see where I link it into where you can use that Arkham can fit into the back here, and if you really want to, you could jigsaw it all together with the Justice League ride and everything else. And I was just really hoping that someone would take all these and finish it. I didn't know that it was going to be me. So this was my first big like, oh okay, let's really sit down and work on it. I didn't have a chance to redo it. As you notice, that this launch hill is on an angle in real life, so that you're really taking off from a lot lower and you're going up. So it was really hard to recreate that with what you had to do as a flat piece and not make it look like you're going to take your head out. And a lot of the rides, like I don't know, I'm weird with like what I would like for Planet Coaster 2. Like if you could just have a station that you unload and load people on, I feel like that would be so much simpler. And also like as I said, I haven't watched anything on Planet Coaster, so Planet Coaster 2, so I don't know if this is in it or not. But even just like the stations, if you could just get rid of this, please, and this, just have it as the station, I'll build that if I want to build that. I don't mind that people would just walk up to this and get on. I understand there are some people, and I might be the only person that doesn't like it, but I understand there are people that like to see people lining up to get on the coaster and stuff like that. Yes, you should be able to just add it on, like just have it as an option to turn it off for some builds. Like it'd just be easier. Like I'd like to just have a door here that like opens up and it's like, oh okay, I can get on now. But yeah, I'm very excited to move on from this game, and hopefully there's a lot of better stuff. But it was literally just the same ride, still 4,000 pieces. I wish I came in here and redid this. There's a lot of stuff that I was planning to do in Planet Coaster, but I just didn't have time. I had a year where I really got pulled away from the game and had to focus on some private stuff, like health-wise. But yeah, it was cool to be able to come back after a while of like, I think it was after the Movie World thing released, I took a break from it and had to do all that stuff. And in their plans, I did say I was going to redo all this ride, so I am sorry that I never got a chance to recreate that and whatever else. But it's all good now. But this was another famous Queensland ride. It's very strange for someone from New South Wales to have such an obsession with Queensland theme parks. I might have to move up there. But I, as a kid, as I said, with Wonderland and stuff like that, was obsessed with the Bermuda Triangle. My fondest memories are being that terrified of the ride that I literally never looked up during the whole ride. I was either in my mum's lap or just had my face covered. I don't know why I was terrified of that ride as a kid. I think it was the pre-show that made me think it was so bloody real that we were actually going to the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know. I was a weird kid with that sort of stuff. So yes, I would have loved to have ridden that now with my love for coasters and all that sort of stuff. But it was so fun recreating this. I remember me and my brother went up when this first opened, and this was like insane theming. Like the upside down ship with the propeller that used to run. I suppose, does it run now? I'm not sure if it runs now. I think they had a period where it stopped running, but the containers flipped. It literally looked like a cyclone had run through here, and it was like, oh okay, I really loved this flip up when it goes into it. You'll see here also that it is flat. That was probably one of the biggest complaints that some people had with this was that it's all on an angle and it's all hilly where this is built. But sadly, I couldn't build it that way because I wanted it to be where you could just download it and put it in your park yourself. So that was pretty much the intention for a lot of my rides, was not doing it how it is in the real world. And yeah, it worked out in the end of having pretty much all this stuff set out. It's funny to see containers before we had containers in the game. Having to build them myself and put in signs and stuff like that. Like, I've always loved how this game, you can create stuff that doesn't exist, and this was the only way to do it, was to literally paint the wooden timber different colors and have the tiny little beams, hundreds of them, which obviously equates up to 4,000 to get it up there really close. You're going to see a lot of the land that you have to get rid of, but yeah, this was pretty fun to recreate. Like, this was my first attempt with water. If you have a look, I'll put up a clip of the video now of on the inside there's just water everywhere, so it was really cool to work with the reflections and stuff like that, and the video screen here, and trying to make it feel like, oh, like this is really cool to be a part of. So that was a fun ride to recreate, which quickly led into me jumping on Arkham Asylum. Now here's my favorite Batman. As you can tell, I always love looking at him because it's that was so fun. That took hours to try and make that. It's yeah, craziness how long that took me to try and create that little man just there. But it's great from a distance. I will give it that. It's great from a distance, but it always makes me laugh when I get up close. But yeah, this was a really cool ride. Back on track with the stuff that's already created, but as I said, putting your own spin on it, making different things. Like, I wanted to have each member of that's in a cell have their stories. Like, you can tell who each person is. Literally, well, I think the ice gives away some people, but each person who it is just by the theming, like even like little question marks and stuff like that. And that's what I really enjoyed, was making it my own and having little homages to my favorite games of like Arkham Asylum with the TV on the head and stuff like that. But yeah, it was so fun to, like, even that, like, stuff I've forgotten, like a batarang in the roof, craziness, stuff like that is just so cool to see. I even had he was going to change colors and stuff like that when I walked past, but as you can tell, it's cool to see back before we had pieces. Like, this was made before we had glass, and like each one of these is a gemstone, and that's how we made glass back then. Like, when I jump into Bioshock, when I eventually get to that, like that's a whole park that I have to show you, so I can't just show you in this thing. But it's cool to see stuff before we had easier ways of building. So it's so awesome to be able to look back on stuff like this and go like, wow, we did this the hard way, didn't we? Next up was, so you're pretty much seeing like a two-part series. Like, it's my first half of my build was in the first part of my YouTube, and then I had to take a break, and then I came back to version 2. So this was my last build inside of version 1 of my YouTube channel. This is when I used to be my old YouTube name, and now we're obviously What's His Face. So this was my second attempt at a DEF CON stage. This was a concept art that someone had designed for a stage design contest, but it never got made. And I always remembered having this saved on my iPad of like, that's an amazing stage. They should make that a stage. And this was my way of honoring them and being like, make it. Please, make this stage a reality. Like, I know they've gone to bigger and grander things in their stages, but to me, this was like, oh, I really would love it. Once again, it was the old system of, as you can see, different light patterns to try and simulate different light colors, because I hadn't really mastered the way of the sequencer yet. Like, I was still learning it, still working out ways to do it. So it's funny to look back on stuff like this, as I said with the last one, of every one of these lights was programmed. Every one of these lights I clicked on individually, had to set the times, set the cutoffs, set everything by hand. And to be able to look at things in the future, like when we get to this, I'll explain a lot more of just the different things you learn and easier ways to learn. And that's what the Planet Coaster community has been so fun about, is learning different things from different people, and it not being he stole like how I do it. It's cool to see, like, you can reach out to these other YouTubers and people that make stuff on the workshop and be like, hey, this is great, like, what's your opinion on blah blah blah, or trying to do this, and someone teaching you and going, actually there is a easy way to do it, like, please. And just the encouragement from everyone is crazy to see. But now this was I think it's a 10-minute show, I'm not sure, it might be shorter. I know it had a couple of songs in it, which was really ambitious at the time, of trying to, like, I didn't want to just create something like the other one, which was just one song and it be done. I wanted it to be like, no, this is an end show. I wanted to have a start, a middle, and an end, and it was really fun. Still, I'd love if they created a custom fireworks sort of thing like Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 had. I hate, like, as good as it is, like a lot of the stuff, like if I show you one firework, see how like it quickly just disappears. There's no smoke. Ooh, someone's playing. I've heard music. There's no smoke, there's no customization of it, of how long it goes. So there's a lot of repetition when you start to design shows like this, and you'll see that as my shows get more intricate, that I started moving away from just a standard, like, red light flashes, green light flashes, blue light flashes. Like, it's cool to see. And playing around with the fire effects was, like, really, like, heavy in this show, trying to get it to look cool. And I don't know, I think I did a good job in it. But yeah, it was crazy. And you'll see, yeah, I'll get to that later, like, if I remember. Sorry if none of this is making sense. I know a lot of people prefer the professional YouTube videos, but sadly this isn't one. This is one of my most popular YouTube videos. This is one of my most popular workshop items. Basically, I remember watching the trailer to the Studios pack, I think it's called, when it first came out, and they had the cars going around and the stuntmen and like all this stuff. And straight away when I first seen it, I was like, oh my god, I'd be able to recreate the Police Academy stunt show, which is what I loved as a kid. I remember I still have the home videos of my dad recording on the VHS recorder. That's the whole show, because that's what they loved back then. Like, dads recorded random stuff back then. And that's one of them, was the whole show. Sometimes you'd go up there for multiple days, so he'd have different seating of when he would film this whole show. And it was like, it's cool to be able to see so many people, like, so many fond memories of this show. I understand they got a new show there and stuff like now, but I just don't think it hits as well as what the Police Academy stunt show hits. Like, let me know in the comments whether you think that the new show is as good, or I don't understand it. Like, there's no, yeah, I don't know. It's weird to talk about. Like, this had comedy, it had fake fan interaction. I understand a lot of people now, it's been exposed to these people, some were real, some were not real, but we fell for it every time. And it was really cool to see just the show and stuff like that. Like, I'd love to go back and see it now as an adult than what I was when I was a kid. But that's not crapping on the new show. The new show's, it's got its benefits, alright. It has a car that jumps over every now and then. Then, yeah, I don't remember anything crazy from the new show. This was always funny to me to watch back. But that's just my opinion. Some people might feel different. But I remember, to get back on track, was the trailer dropped for this Studios pack. I seen all this stuff. I remembered, oh my god, I could create this. I jumped in, I started creating it to where I spent 2 weeks building this out to where it was ready to go. I had no idea about these pieces. They weren't available yet. Nothing was downloadable. Like, it was literally just buy the pack, pre-order it, and be ready. And the pack dropped. I started putting stuff in, and I couldn't believe how it all just fit perfectly. Like, the court was the perfect size for these. Like, if I click on it, for these cars. Yes, they do expand a little bit. It was hard to get them to fit in. With some things you'll see them clip in. Like, there's a lot of stuff that it'd be cool if you could program this to go in certain ways, but back then that was insane to be able to have all this gel together. And I remember I dropped it like a day after that Studios pack came out, maybe even a week, and it quickly shot up. Like, I remember going into my rubber being like, it's got like 2,000 downloads. Like, I couldn't believe it that like so many people were watching it, and it brought so much attention to my channel that I was like, oh no, I didn't want to be one of these people. So it was cool in that aspect of seeing it evolve so quickly, and people loved it to where I was like, I've got nothing else after this. Like, this is as good as it gets. Sorry guys, but yeah, I'm so proud of how that came out. It's, as I said, you got to enjoy what you're building, and to me, being able to tap into just things that I love to create and I can have fun building, it's so easy just to sit down and play a couple of hours and put so much in. But yeah, after that, I took a big break from YouTube. I took a gap from a lot of things, really. So I'm just trying to remember what I took a break for. I don't think it might have been this part yet. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but this was my first attempt at a DEF CON stage of me creating my own stage. I've had so many other things that I was like, okay, like, yes, you are copying other people's designs, but you really need to have something that you're like, you can put hours in. And when we got the moving heads and stuff like that, as limited as they were, I thought like, oh, this is your chance to really like show off a cool build that no one's seen before. And yes, I did copy some other stage design parts of the earlier DEF CON designs, but having the elephant and the scrap pieces, that's what I really wanted it to be. Was like, oh wow, like, I don't know if you've been to a festival, a DEF CON festival, but the coolest part to me was standing there in front of the stage, seeing like a car used in the design, going like, oh wow, this is like a full like scrap monster that they put together. And that's what I really enjoyed, was creating my own scrap monster. But one of the biggest lessons I learned from this was these lights don't turn off. There's no way to get them to shut off. So I don't know if it's possible to see it, but you can see like a black sort of silhouette. So that's showing you that the light is literally just, it's on at all times. Oh, there's not really, actually, is there a way to, yeah, there might be this way. You can see sort of like a little silhouette, but that light is on at all times. There is no way to turn that off. So when you start putting hundreds of these lights down, your performance just starts to tank terribly. Recently invested in a really good PC, so it's cool to go back and see these designs without 2 frames a second. Like it's, I remember filming this took hours because you couldn't just sit there and watch a full show. Like, I remember one of my earliest shows of watching it is like the camera's back here watching it, because you couldn't get anywhere near it while it was turned on, because it would be like just do a crawl. But yeah, I was very happy with how that came out, and this was my first attempt at still stuffing around with the sequencer. Let's just go into this here. Still inexperienced, so every light is animated by hand. Every light has an on, every light has a movement order and an activation. Like, it was so tedious to think of what I've done now. Like, I found such an easier way to do it, and I'm so happy I found that easier way to do it. I'll get into it when we get over towards that sort of stuff, but yeah, that's just seeing stuff like this of how long this took me. I think this was like a year it took me to build this out to get it done, which is crazy to think that you spent a year's worth of time getting this. To think back, I'm sorry, I'm probably talking to a couple of people here. Like, I know there's a couple of people that enjoy people sitting down talking, but if you're one of them, this is just for you. You need to understand that if you're going to design one of these shows, you have to be willing to hate that song for the rest of your life. Every piece I've created here, every main stage, every music thing or whatever, you hear every detail of that song, like every beat, every drop, every like little inch of it. And trust me, by the end of it, you will be so sick of that song. But at the same time, so that's why you have to pick a song that you love, because you got to understand you're going to spend hours listening to it. And I don't mean like, oh, you're going to watch a little clip and move on to it. Back in the day of this, you had to watch the whole show. Like, say if I changed some lighting around, I had to watch the whole show before I could get to that point. And then when I was at that point, I'd be like, oh, it's still wrong. You'd have to edit it and then go back in, and it was just that process of over and over and over again. A nightmare to think of, like, how much easier that timeline system was in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, because you could literally just select it halfway, press play. Like, I understand you can do that now, but it was the syncing of the music that you had to get right every time. So it was crazy to be like, okay, we're going to do it this way. We're going to try to make it work. And like, at the end of the day, it is a cool design. But as I said, some songs, I don't listen to any of these songs anymore, because it's traumatic, this experience of going through all this sort of stuff. But this was one of the main shows that I was most proud of until I built my climax stage, and that was like, oh, okay, I've entered the new level of fun. Hopefully, to my future self, hopefully I'm putting up clips of some of these stage shows playing. But yeah, you can download these yourself and play them pretty quickly. This was a attempt back into Movie World, was the Justice League ride. This was my first attempt at a ride with screens, which was my first experience at how performance draining these screens turned out to be. Very strange to see this stuff without any screens on. But yeah, you can download the park, download the screens, and you can watch it all yourself. But this was really fun to be able to create such an intricate ride. So fun to create, in fact, that like it made me want to start a career in this sort of stuff. And getting one of the lead people that created this ride commenting on my YouTube video saying how impressed he was like one of my biggest highlights of like, oh wow, like people do watch these videos and go like, wow, congratulations, great recreation, I think he said. And it was like, oh my goodness, it was crazy. Like, and even trying to implement the screens and the zombies and stuff like that. I mean, if only I had known that Movie World was going to release a shooter update with the Ghostbusters thing, that would have been great to know, that I could have just had this as an actual interactive shooter. But yeah, it was really cool at the end of the day to be able to recreate this. I seen that Movie World for a YouTuber, I can't remember his name, did a walkthrough of this ride, and it was so cool to like, oh, if I could do that one day, I'd love to be able to walk through this ride and be able to see all this stuff, like the animatronics and how they work. But see, if you've got any connections at Movie World, please hit me up. I'd love to film a video of walking through there and seeing all this stuff. Yeah, it'd be cool to see like me being able to walk around with my brother, and like, I don't know, it'd be cool to do a YouTube video of in the real parks. Let me know if that's something you'd love to see of me starting to visit the parks. I was going to plan a trip for when I go to see the Wizard of Oz. I was going to film a whole heap of stuff, but yeah, I don't know whether Movie World would let you do anything like that. I don't know how it works with stuff like that, but yeah, if you got any connections with Movie World, please hit them up and be like, hey, get this guy out there, that'd be cool to see. But I'd probably have to invest in some camera gear and other stuff before I even got a chance to do that. But yeah, this is a really fun ride to recreate. Really fun ride in real life. A little bit timid compared to everything else that I've had to build, which was really weird to have something so intricate. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Let's see if I can. Oh, yes, I can. I don't know what you guys think, but I love to be able to do this. So if I download someone's workshop item, I love to download it. I love to ride the ride. I love to see how it works. This is my favorite thing. I love taking the roof off of a building and seeing like a top-down shot of how everything works, how it all fits together, like the queue leading up to the ride. It's just so fun to see stuff like this. Maybe this is the first time you're seeing someone do this, but just the intricacy of everything being so compact on each other, like the loop around, coming back under here, going back here. It's literally only separated by a wall, but you're transported through to different zones. That you're going from Gotham to Metropolis to some random cityscape to a ship, to the inside of a ship, to the ship crashing back to the main hall of the Justice League and stuff like that. And it's really cool to try and work out how to make all that stuff like link together and you not see the other parts of the park. Like when you come in through here, yes, you can see over and stuff like that, but it was really fun to try and recreate that. If you get a chance to look at the Superman one's another one that I love to be able to pull apart and see. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to do that with these sort of rides, and it's always been a favorite like thing for me to do with people's builds and see how they designed it and created it and whatever else. So I think it was after this ride that I took a big break from YouTube, and I didn't make anything for a while. As I said, I was going through whatever, blah blah blah, sob story, cry. But I remember when I came back, I was like, okay, I have to come back and do something massive, and that was me changing my YouTube name to what it is now. What's His Face was so fun to me, of something that I could create, and that was mine, and that was jumping back in with a whole show, a whole everything, and having a full relaunch. So I don't know how many of you watch League of Legends, but they just had Worlds last weekend, and I loved the stage show of it. And my first introduction was, I never knew about League of Legends before that, and my first introduction was KDA's Pop Stars when they did the show. That was my first exposure to the whole League of Legends world, and like obviously it's snowballed into what I know now, but to me, I only watched the opening ceremony and I thought like, wow, that's so cool, like how they did that. And it was after I'd been to a concert, and I was like, well, how do I just make a cool light show to fit inside of a concert? And at that point I did my stadium builds, where I made stadiums for the WrestleMania and the Raw and all that stuff that I'll show in a second. But I was like, well, I should have an indoor concert stage as well, and that's where this led, of downloading that and creating my own indoor stage, which was cool to do with all the cabling system and whatever else. Like I really wanted it to feel like you could put this in there and be like, oh wow, like this is part of the whole stage show. Like yeah, it's weird to look back on it now of how fun this stuff was to build, but this is when I first learnt that, okay, you can probably see it now, but when I started building these shows, I found an easier way to build. Sorry if you've everyone's probably worked this out by now, but I literally build my shows in half. So yes, I build the whole stage or whatever else, but don't think of it as the stage itself. What you need to think of it as is a massive line going right through the middle here. Build the lighting, build the trusses, build the stage out, but with the lighting, put a line through your stage halfway, and then all you literally need to do is design your lighting for this half of the stage, and then mirror it to this half of the stage. And this was my first attempt at it, so it came out pretty well, where I put in so much effort on this, and instead of wasting so much time having to duplicate it and put it on both sides, and selecting 10 lights instead of 5, or selecting, well, I think it's this side has 130 lights, this side has 130 lights, so it's that was just like the moving heads and just stuff that I could program. Everything else with the fireworks and whatever else, that's a whole different story. But it was so much easier to me to design a whole show, be able to design it quicker and more efficiently, and then at the end you would just save it as a blueprint, save the lighting as a blueprint, re-upload it, and then I would just have to switch the lights to the other side and then create a main trigger system, which is down here, sorry, that controlled both sides. So you see everything for this whole lighting thing is inside this truck. Oh, it's not inside the truck, it's out here. So this whole show is one side. This whole show is the other side from a blueprint. And then you just join the two together with whatever else, so like fireworks and whatever else, which was easier to create separately in both consoles. And then you just have the main show here. And the main show just links right side of the show, left side of the show. Video screens, stadium speakers, and a timer. That's pretty much how I simplified it to be easier to create these shows. And then I started like snowballing, like, oh wow, this is getting easier and easier, which led into my WWE Raw stage, Raw and SmackDown. This was going to be a bigger thing, but it ended up being too tedious with the performance issues on my old PC. It was very hard to get things going, especially I did these with video screens, and each one had a different video on, and it was very hard to sort of make that work in what I wanted to do. So I pretty much just released this as it is. It doesn't do anything crazy of what you did now, what you could do with this stage, sorry. But yeah, this was all designed to fit inside of the stadium that I created. Obviously the indoor ones here and the outdoor one with our main WrestleMania stage, which was really fun to recreate. A lot of people did notice that my stadium was designed after the Citrus Bowl, and it was literally for this. I remember seeing this stage and thinking, I'm gonna make that. Like, I remember watching WrestleMania that year, and the whole time I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I started that night was on the stadium itself, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna make that stage, and it's gonna be so cool. And it's yeah, being able to film a whole intro, opening pyro. I think I did 4 entrances. I think I did Seth Rollins, The Miz, Undertaker, and Triple H, and that was so cool to me to be able to like have things pretty much where I've okay. I'm gonna admit I've done it a couple of times of just reloading these parks and sitting there and enjoying these shows. Like, it's so cool to like see it all, and I do it without the video screens. But this was my first thing of discovering these light panels. So for so long I had done things with the video screens on the Raw one, but this was my first attempt with a colorable panel. Now, what I'd been able to recreate with this sort of stuff was so crazy of just with the flashing lights, with the moving heads, and it was tedious, but it's, as I said in the last one, you got to think of left, right. So you got to split it down the middle here. Obviously not with everything. So each one of these poles is its own thing. Then you just copy the blueprint to each one, and then you just join them all together. So you can see how quickly it becomes a lot easier to create these shows if you simplify it more and more and more. So you've just got to split that in half, do these individually, because it's literally just mirroring each other throughout the whole thing. And once you realize that, you can just really start to just put in a lot of different sequences and different things for each stage. I was going to do a whole like how to do it sort of thing, but I don't really get a lot of views on my YouTube channel. Sorry if I'm moving around and stuff like that, but to me it wasn't really something that I thought people would watch and people would need. But I have seen a couple of people have asked for it, but I've just never been good at these sort of videos, of never confident in it. Like, I know I have a little bit more confidence now, but yeah, it was really cool to see all of this come together. And like, if you ever get a chance, I haven't watched it, I remember making the trailer for it, and it was really cool. But yeah, it's cool to go back and look at stuff like this. What did I do next? I think I think it was Worlds. Getting into like the more advanced stuff. So this is a good example of what I was talking about. So here you can see Worlds was designed in a way that has a random sequencer on the ground. No, this was my big like reveal of, okay, this is what's his face. I remember I had the whole, I designed it like a live show, which is what I think I do a lot in a lot more videos now, where I try to make it an event and make it fun to sit there. I don't know people feel the same way, of that it is fun or whatever else. But to me, it's always been like a funny way of going like, oh, okay, like let's make it entertaining for the whole video and stuff like that. So I had like a couple of videos of a pre-show. I think it was on a timer, like a 5-minute timer, and it went through a couple of songs as the sun set, and then I had the intro to the event, the I think I had KDA to the entrance thing, and then it went into like as if a game was actually going on. So it was pretty cool to have. I don't think this is the final stage. I think this is just the blueprint that I designed for it. Let me just have a quick look. Worlds. No, I don't have. No. If you're still watching the video, you would have seen a secret there of a stage that I always had built, but never got around to doing it. I think that's the first time I've ever shown my blueprints page, so if you've seen a couple of hidden things there, I might try to recreate them in Planet Coaster 2, but yeah, this is pretty much what I was talking about. I see how I've only designed the lighting for this side. I don't think this is the final stage that I made in the thing. I think I updated it to have a massive section, but it was cool to me to be like, okay, like you have the whole worlds, they go backstage, then they go into their separate booths to design it, because you had to design these in a way where they couldn't see the big screen and they could play and do whatever else. And then yeah, it was cool to be able to this is my Summoner's Cup, my first attempt at it. How funny. Yeah, it was really cool to think of it as like a production sort of revamp when I did it. So yeah, I don't know, I don't even know how long I've been talking for. Is anyone still watching? If you're still watching, comment something random. Comment something like, I don't know, something funny. Just do a random. No, don't do a random thing, because people will be weirded out. Just type in "I'm still watching," which will be funny to see how many people comment that, to say this is how many people actually made it to. Yeah, just comment "I'm still watching 2024." To be like, oh, okay, you stayed till the end. How funny. What an OG you are, staying all the way to watch this. This was my climax stage. Same principle as the other stages, split it in half. So when you're designing stuff like this was really fun to me. This is my first experience to hardstyle, was seeing this stage. I remember getting the DVD from a JB Hi-Fi and thinking, what is this crap? And yeah, I've been in love with that sort of music for a while. I've always been a fan of music. I love any genre of music. I'm one of them weird people that can listen to everything. And it was really cool to create like a full show that was designed to be in the dark. Impossible to run on my old PC. I remember filming this thing was terrible. Terrible experience, because of once you get it in the room itself, and then I think I built it underground too, so that it was pitch black when I first filmed it. I think that's why it came out so good. That I remember when I got down there first, I couldn't move around, the game would crash. I had to film like back here. I remember I had to delete the back wall and film like from back here and then zoom it in the footage. On like little shots, it would be like a crawl of like and it was like, oh wow. But it came out so good in the end that I was so proud of. Like, look at the sequences just on this side alone. And that's both sides of the truck too, so you can tell how much goes into these videos. But yeah, it's as I said, always is designed to, you can stand here if you want to and be a part of the show when it's playing and whatever else, and the cool star backdrop that I had. It was so fun just to be able to make stuff like that. As I said, if you can have fun building, it's so easy to create stuff in this game, and it's cool that it caters to so many different styles. And here's another big example of when the pandemic that we're not going to name because of YouTube reasons happened. This was one of the DEF CON stages, and it was fun to be able to create this. And once again, not split in half, you've got to think of it as little squares. So this is made up of 4 squares. So all I had to do was design this square here. And then what did I do? Copy, copy, copy. Done. And then the show was finished. So when you think of it in that way, you're cutting so much time out by literally cheating. So if you can find a way to cheat, do it. Like, it's so simple to just do things in that sort of style, and it just makes shows so much better. And I remember when it came out that, yeah, there are some things that you got to edit and change times, but in your sequencer you can change that and be like, okay, for this part do this, for this part do this. I'm not sure where the sequencer is for this whole thing, but if I can remember, I think it might be in the stage. Hang on, let me have a look. Maybe? No? Oh wait, if I click on this, not you, go away. And there's main show trigger, so let's see if I can go to it. Oh, it's here in the truck. Okay, cool. Whoa! Oh, can I delete that? Let's have a look. Delete that. Delete that. So there you go. So that is made up of 4 different blueprints showing just from that original square that I created. And then obviously it all links up perfectly to where it works around. But in some of them you have to update. So I think I wrote like increase timer by 10 seconds, which would give you the this one would go, this one would go, this one would go, and it'd create that it's doing the loop effect of when it's happening. So just little things like that. If you can think of an easy way to cheat in Planet Coaster 2, please do comment and stuff like that, because it's cool to be able to work out easy way to do things. And it's I haven't seen anything about the sequencer in the next game, but yeah, I'm very curious to jump in that and have a go. What's next? This is from my movie parks thing that I was going to release. I don't think I'm going to release it. I'm not sure. I've been sitting on that park for like a whole year. I made just a little like park designed on the game, the movies. I made like all different sort of sets that if you were going to film stuff in here, you could film and do whatever else. This is meant to be water, and there's a plane crash and whatever else in there. I think that I probably will start filming that and do it. Yeah, I think I've still got time. I don't know. There's a lot of projects in my saved folders that I never ended up making videos to, because yeah, once you start like doubting yourself with certain creations, you just don't know how to make a video for it. And I've never understood how to make a video for this. And I think I just uploaded all these into a park in the original thing, and people, that's all the comments was, oh, I need someone to make a park like this, but crazy. And I think I spent like a whole year building a whole park system for it, and just never released it because I never thought that like people would watch it. But I don't know, if you've made it this far and you end up seeing a video coming out about it, you know that it was my decision from this point that I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make it. But who knows? This is another piece of the Universal ride where the flood comes down the water. See if I can get it to go now. Obviously, there's meant to be a coaster that sits here, but yeah, you pretty much drive up and it's raining, and like I think I've got the coaster there, but yeah, like, and she shouts action, and then the water comes down, and it's meant to go. Sorry if that's too loud, if the game volume's too loud, but yeah, it was cool to be able to create that to where it's like, oh wow, it's individual triggers of water. How frustrating! Like, look how many, I don't know if you can see without the water, of how many individual water spouts there are, just trying to get that to look like it's rolling down the hill. And yeah, I know a fun recreation it was to do, but got a couple of things from my movie world build here. I'm trying to speed this up to make it not be too long, but the Doomsday ride that I made. These are my 2 rides that don't work. I thought it'd be cool to put them in this video and be like, oh, look how cool they are. But yeah, I'm so happy with how that turned out. So hard to make, so hard to recreate, but yeah, still fun. This was my first, well, not first attempt, I think I'm up to like my 5th attempt at making a ride on my own. And I wanted to design a ride of, once again, if Movie World approached you and said, hey, we've got this space, what can you fit in there? Would you try to design a ride? And I was like, oh, I could do an Escape from Gotham ride, because we haven't really got a ride where, like a studio tour from Universal. We don't have anything like that anymore. I think Movie World used to do it, back in the old, like when the park first opened. But we don't have anything like that now. And I thought like, oh, that'd be really cool if you could have that where guests would get on and go around. I don't have any of the screens working, but my first impression was like, oh, I'm going to do Batman Escape from Gotham. And it's pretty much where you're asked to like, okay, we're going to get you out. Batman's going to get you out of Gotham. Please come in. So you go into the GCPD. You literally walk past a Joker sitting there who's laughing the whole time. You get on a ride vehicle and you're pretty much taken through Gotham. And this was my first attempt at doing rides with video screens. So you come up here into this, and I'll put up a video now of literally having the vehicle pause here and a elevator system pop up on the screen, and you go down in the elevator and creating that false perspective of movement and whatever else. And then you come around and you're in the subway, and then creating a video that films here. Like I'll put up a video now of the car in there driving and creating the scenes from the video and everything like that. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 or 5 video screens that I had to create, and they're full like sequences. Like this is one of them ones where not a lot of people seen it, and like I don't have a problem that not a lot of people seen it, but it was crazy to see like so much work how went into this that I wish more people did see it, because I was so proud of this when it came out. And yeah, it's just the blending of it, like the pipes going into the video screen to where it links. I was like, wow, like Movie World would be able to do this. And then you come down and you're these doors shut and you're in Batman's cave, and then you go from Batman's cave all the way into Arkham Asylum, and then when you open you're in the real Arkham Asylum. And it's that show like of real life and what is it called? Real effects and video effects just merging together. And this is what I really worked hard on, to be like, I really want this to work and it to be a seamless blend. And I think I achieved a lot of it. It's obviously hard with a lot of the ground, I haven't taken it out, but just the different people of like, here's the Riddler's cage, the Scarecrow somewhere, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy's in a cage, and then the finale here of escaping through Gotham. And it's really cool to see how it worked out. And then having the final scene of like they're filming outside, and that's the original video screen that you see, was her giving a TV report on the big screen in here, and she's out here, so it's cool to be like, oh wow, like she's reporting live from outside, and here she is sitting here, and then the old lady watching TV. Yeah, this was a really cool ride to recreate. If you ever get a chance to go back and watch it, one of my most proud achievements inside Planet Coaster is this ride here. Like, it's so cool to be able to pull that off. But yeah, pretty much this is it. This is everything I've built for Planet Coaster. That is 4,000 pieces or less, and it's cool to sit back and go like, okay, that's it for this. Let's move on to something else. And it's going to be cool to see what we can create in Planet Coaster 2 when that comes out. But yeah, let's jump into BioShock. And welcome to BioShock, my first attempt at a full sand park build. Yeah, I love this game so much that it was cool to be able to sit there and go, okay, I'm gonna really have a dig at rebuilding Rapture in my experience. So the first kickoff of, you can see how massive this build it is. There's no way I was getting this under 4,000 pieces, but yeah, it was my first attempt to go, okay, I'm gonna fit as much of this in and as much detail as I can get to where you can ride this ride. And it was so fun to be able to create the lighthouse, to the plane crash, to just really everything. Let's just have one more look at that plane crashing from back here. Even the sound effects of when it works. Just to recreate the start of that game of, you start off pretty much in the water, floating around. Even the flyer trickly was so cool. But it's pretty much like, oh wow, I'm in the game playing and trying to swim towards the lighthouse was what I tried to do there. And yeah, let's just let's just step straight into Rapture. It's going to be weird. I have not seen this ride since I first made it. Back when, I can't even remember how long ago. So it's cool to see. This is my first one that got like exposure on Channel 5 Gaming, and man, the views that he got off of that video was crazy. So it was cool to see it featured in something like that. Terrible pathing system, because as you can see, everything is inside this building. Now when you get to a certain depth below the ground and you cover it back up, a lot of the lights really take shape and stuff like that. Here's a little Easter egg for you. This was for the trailer that I filmed. If you ever seen the trailer, when you come up over and you see Rapture, that's from that right there. I never deleted it. But yeah, I really wanted it to feel like you were in Rapture. Let's see. I had no other way to get the guests down to that level, so I had to do it the hard way. And the hard way was, oops, sugar, I've gone through the exit. Let's cut through here. Okay, so guests come out down here, and then this is your first exposure to... I'm going to pause it because I don't want the guests just talking the whole time. Your first exposure to being underwater. So, as I said before, this was before our glass paneling things we had. So, this was the only way to make glass back in the game look realistic, was to have thousands of these pieces of gemstone. I think it's called gemstone 1. Yeah, gemstone large. Thousands of them just in one window alone, just to make it look sort of transparent. Was crazy to recreate. But yeah, you can see the ride vehicle was there. You pretty much go under here. This is like the main starter area for the game, and I wanted to like really like try to create it, and like the different lighting effects and different screams and sounds was really fun to try and rebuild. So yeah, this is my main part where you get on the ride, and I really tried to create that you're underwater, and it's so cool to just look up into pitch blackness, and like sometimes you see different buildings and whatever else. But yeah, this was my first attempt at something crazy like this, and it's so cool to see. Like I can't believe I haven't come back and looked at this since I first built it. Maybe I could even recreate it in Planet Coaster 2 if people want it, but oh, so much work with all them gemstones. Yeah, like just creating different things was so fun to me to be able to build. As I said, you've got to love what you're building, otherwise you don't want it to be tedious. And if you're having fun building it, it just literally falls together piece by piece of different things. Creating the tunnels where you come in, and the reveal of like you are underwater and such, and like trying to get, I think I had a plane crashing. Oh yeah, here, where I'd highlight this and highlight this and highlight like, oh, it's crashing, and then like water would rush in. If I can get might be able to get a ride vehicle to come in through. Hang on, just let me fast forward. Okay, I'll try to pause it where I can watch it, but if you watch the actual video, all the sound effects and everything that I put in, I haven't got any of them downloaded, but yeah, I really wanted it to feel like this place is flooding. Like you can tell here that this bridge used to be here, but it's collapsed, and like a lot of these buildings are fake, of having fake facades, and I think that's performance wise, but yeah, this is crazy. I forgot how good this looks. It's cool to like go back in and watch stuff like that. Yeah, just the different sceneries of like, oh, here's a Big Daddy's come in. Just little parts from the game was fun to recreate. This is the Happy New Year's, like stuff like that. Here's our theater section where the roof's collapsed and water's pouring in. Let me just turn that on. Like just little things like that was like so fun just to recreate. A whole stage that's just in pitch black, but you're not meant to see it. And wow, I really should have come in here and looked at this more often. Then going past Sandra Cohen's office. If only shadows worked properly, because it'd be cool just to be able to see his shadow on the wall. That was what that effect was going to be. Seeing the big sister, sorry, I should say, not the little sister. The big sister here. Here's a room that's collapsed, that's burning. Like, so much fun to create all this sort of stuff. Coming through to my main flood screen where I did it again, where you're Oops, is this already running? This is actually easier to see in the daytime. So you turn it on, and then I wanted it to be that the guest vehicle comes through here, and it's like the big sister's run her blade up along there. Here we go. And she cracks the screen, which makes the hole go bang, and it's like the water's burst in, and like that was so fun to create. Of like, oh, it's flooding, you shouldn't be here. And then if I pause it and then go back into meeting Andrew Ryan, you can see he's met his demise here with the golf club, which reminds me, would you kindly like the video? Also, when you enter here, that's when you get out the exit. But wow, it's crazy to see like builds like this. Like thinking of like just the creative choices of getting everything, like just this fitting the perfect light down to make it gleam. Oh man, look at the hundreds of pieces of glass here. Look at this. Just like, definitely never fitting under 4,000 pieces, but yeah. Well, that's Bioshock, and I'd say that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sticking with my channel through Planet Coaster 1. I did have a couple other things I could show, but yeah, this is pretty much the main gist of what's made this channel. Like all of my most popular videos, I've tried to put in everything that you guys helped make really good. But yeah, hopefully you just join me for Planet Coaster 2. But yeah, sorry if this ending was rushed. I didn't really have a plan for how this video was going to be. I just wanted to go back through and reminisce on all the hours that I've wasted. I think I'm near 4,000, maybe 5,000 hours into this game, so it's cool to sit back and see that it was worth it. But yeah, please take care of yourself, and hopefully I see you very soon for Planet Coaster 2. Hopefully you're as excited as I am. But yeah, thanks for sticking with the channel. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for commenting. But yeah, let's get on to better and greater things. See you in the next one.